Before we start, please join the Discord community, link down below for me. When you click the link, the invite should appear as shown. Click accept invite for direct access to yours truly, your fellow community, as well as being notified every time we go live. You'll also be able to view all VODs from the Discord server, as well as any YouTube videos, and be notified when I post here on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, around 99% of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. Make sure you fix that by hitting the subscribe button and turning on all notifications. If you do that, I can find the content for you and we can watch it together. Shout out to all my current subscribers as well as current subs on Twitch. We call y'all citizens, you feel me? And yeah, enjoy the video. Alright YouTube, we got a video from the dog Ty on why Deku versus Miles Morales isn't what you think. As always, gonna pre-follow the like. I've seen a little bit of discourse about this on TikTok about how Deku stomps because of gear shift and some of the later feats. But yeah, we should hop straight into it. This our guy when it comes to power scaling. Shout out Ty.
Miles Morales versus Izuku Midoriya. Not only is Death Battle probably going to get this wrong, but this matchup thematically is pretty fitting, considering both heroes are the ones who carry on their predecessor's mantle and try to push for a better and brighter future. This matchup seems pretty fun to talk about. Both characters as well have scaling that I've been meaning to discuss on the channel as well, so for a video like this, like with the last versus battle, we are going to be looking at this matchup a little differently from the ones we usually cover. Rather than yapping about their backstories and talking about who wins, I'll be instead breaking down this video in 3 simple categories, that being strength, speed, and hacks. And depending on who wins these sections...
That's what I like about it. It's just going to get to the point. Strength, speed, and hacks, whoever pretty much takes 2 out of 3 kind of got it. Unless, again, these hacks are bro. Like, if you can't counter a certain person's hack. They both have danger sense, too. Due to Whiplash, they both can swing around the city. They have a lot of similarities.
The winner will then be determined by the end. Anywho, let's stop yapping and just get straight into the scaling. Now, when comparing Deku and Miles' strength, I think a big thing to clear up first is if they're at full power right off the bat, because both characters pretty much suppress themselves to significant degrees. Deku quite literally for most of the series couldn't use 100% consistently, so he had to converge his power into small percentages in order for One For All to be any type of useful. And Miles, like Deku, can't really control his electricity all that well, which usually makes him hold back. Miles as well just loses a lot of fights he participates in when he definitely should not be losing. He kind of has a Genos effect where he loses most of the fights he initially participates in. In his first fight with Scorpion, it does not go well for bro at all. He gets yeeted out of the panel and Scorpion just no-sells a Venom Blast. Miles quite literally asks him to give up at one point before they just get interrupted. He would straight up just get overpowered by the Rhino base to base and had to rely on his electricity in order to incapacitate him. And against Tombstone, he also gets washed pretty badly until their second fight where it seemed like he was about to do something until he got intervened. Miles physically is really not all that worthy of noting, and he's usually depicted as a weaker Peter Parker base to base in strength. He usually has to rely on his electricity when he's fighting stronger opponents, but when he is utilizing it, he can put down some pretty powerful foes. With his lightning, like I said, he was able to incapacitate Rhino. He was able to beat Scorpion in their second fight when utilizing his lightning, and it seemed like he had the advantage on Tombstone. With his lightning as well, he's staggering people like Gao, who casually just snaps Deadpool's neck with no effort, and he was taking down Wind Demigods with single blows. This should be more than enough evidence to upscale Miles from at least Deadpool's feats, such as surviving a nuclear missile. This, along with Miles' feats in the Insomniac game, should be enough to suggest that Miles is around that large town to city level range, which would mean Miles' power is comparable to that of nuclear warheads. But of course, this is Marvel Comics, meaning you're not always going to be consistently at the same power level, and Miles is no exception to this. Quite literally, we see Miles going from losing to characters like Rhino to fighting Blackheart.
You feel me, bro? They just be jumping around.
For those of you who are not aware, Blackheart is the son of Mephisto, and he's someone who's fought heavy hitters within the Marvel Universe, as well as Solo the Avengers himself. To be fair, he did this off screen and we don't know what happened, but this is still pretty ridiculous to note considering Miles is able to take down Blackheart in a similar fashion to Black Bolt when he's enraged. The same Black Bolt who said who can destroy the very world with his blast. I feel this is the biggest reach you can really make for Miles because you're already assuming Black Bolt and Miles are relative due to one-shotting a villain in a comparable fashion. And this is pretty much the equivalent of Boros fans making the same reach to say that he's relative to Initial Cosmic Garo because they both kind of look similar when punching Saitama. And I think it's pretty obvious to note that Miles is definitely not consistently in this planetary tier, especially with what's shown within the comics. But he's definitely a lot more powerful than people give him credit for. With his Venom Blast, he should be scaling to...
So upper, you could try to give him planetary. So casually, we would say like country level to like small planetary. That's a huge range, but
if not surpassing Peter himself when he's actually trying, who in all honesty also varies in strength. Depending on if he's having adrenaline rushes and also depending on the writer, he can either get hurt by bullets or beat up Heralds of Galactus and scrap with Hulk. But it is consistently shown within the Marvel Universe that Miles should upscale from other street tier characters like Captain America or even Iron Fist, the same guy who just survives blasts from Radion, the same guy whose power is measured to be equivalent of 100 megaton. Even using this is a little iffy because Danny Rand can absorb energy, which he partially did against Radion. So again, at best, I would like to say consistently Miles is in that city to possibly mountain range with his electricity. But of course, if you want to say, oh, he beat up Blackheart, then sure guys, he's planetary. But now that we have someone...
I'm not going to say he's planetary off 1 feet. I would just say at upper levels with a little bit of glaze, you can get them there. So then you find some middle ground. I didn't know mountain level was like a level. I just heard like country, continent, stuff like that. But we'll say mountain.
Of an idea where Miles is at, we can see where Deku finally stacks up in comparison at full power, which yeah, this is just not a contest, guys. I'm not gonna lie. While Miles is maybe mountain level with his electricity and maybe planetary with wishy-washy scaling, Deku at full power just straight up alters the weather across the entire globe. The amount of energy Deku would have needed to do this does vary with the calculations, but it comes in at even the lowest end 42 petatons, which is enough energy to wipe out multiple continents, and there's even versions of this calculation to suggest that Deku might be small planet level, which I'm not gonna lie, seems kind of a stretch, especially with what's been shown and represented within My Hero. I would think Deku's absolute peak power being multi-continental makes more sense, but like I said, this is Deku at his absolute peak. Obviously, he's not going to be going into this the same way he was fighting Shigaraki when he was bloodlusted, but even when comparing Deku's earlier forms, I feel like Deku at the very worst could scrap with Miles in terms of attack potency. You see, Deku back when he was using 100% and was significantly weaker than his final season self, he, along with Bakugo, had enough energy to clear an entire storm that completely dwarfed an island. Although Bakugo did assist Deku, this was not only a power Deku gave to him, but the energy even Deku puts in by himself should come out to around island level, considering he literally did this with the force of his punch being sent up to the storm, meaning the amount of force would be significantly reduced than him just straight up punching you in the face. But even the lowest end for this calc comes out to around 3.52 gigatons, which would be a few times more powerful than Radion's 100 megatons that Miles may not even scale to all that well. Deku as well, by the war, is just in that.
And that's why I said, genuinely, just in general, he can AP scale to him really easy. While for Miles to get him there, it's like, it's just something that you know is true. You get me? There's a difference between like, oh yeah, I get this person a light speed, and it's like, oh, well with these feats, yeah. It's not shaky, it's just like, oh yeah, okay, I can see that. It's true. Versus like, oh yeah, we're trying to calculate the speed of Metro Man. Oh yeah, I can get him the light speed. Easy. You feel me? Because of the feat that he did.
All Might tier, who, like, while weak even 100%, can clear storms with his punches, which should just have enough strength to wipe out islands anyway. So regardless of if you want to say, oh well, Deku is obviously not going to use the final smashing character on Miles, even in his normal 100% state, he would honestly put Miles to shame when it comes to raw strength. So for this section, I'm going to be giving this point to Deku. Now for speed, I honestly find these two to be pretty comparable. However, I do think one person has a clear edge over the other. Both Miles and...
The reason I would say Deku got this is not only the strength feats, but also the Hex, because he has danger sense. So it kind of counters Spidey sense.
And Deku either fight or directly combat people who are light speed or can react and evade light itself. Miles and Deku of course don't travel at these speeds, but due to their abilities and also skill to a degree, they are able to weave and combat things that are deemed to be ridiculously fast in our world. A lot of people will sit here and complain about how Miles really can't travel at over 300 million miles per hour, which I agree. But when power scalers usually say the term light speed, they mainly refer to their combat and reaction speeds, not their actual movement speed. Miles mainly does this through his spider sense and precog, and Deku also has this ability as well. So they already have a much easier time at reacting and combating things. Regardless though, they should just be light speed at their peaks, with Miles having the slight edge due to having spider sense. You see, Deku has a similar ability, which is danger sense, but it doesn't really work in the same way as spider sense. Miles with his spider sense kind of has a...
Yeah, because I don't think it's the same, because spider sense, like, they can, like, know if milk's expired. It doesn't have to, like, activate. You feel me? Like, it's literally just like a, oh, okay. And it's like, oh yeah, I know something's this way. You feel me? And he can increase the radius and stuff like that of it. but Danger Sense is probably purely off Danger. So that is something to note. I'm just saying Deku having Danger Sense gives him like, okay, we can kind of box.
Effect from Sakamoto days, where he can pretty much tell what your next move is going to be and can potentially move always one step ahead of you with his ability.
Yeah,
and although Deku is definitely a character,
without seeing it, his ability is kind of like Future Sight. It allows him to have future predictions. But in terms of like him using that to his advantage, like, oh, I'm kind of sensing that you're going to dodge this way, I'm going to throw this punch. Because Deku has Danger Sense, what I'm saying is he kind of nullifies the offensive advantage that Spidey gets from his Spider Sense. While obviously the defensive advantage still stays there because it's Spider Sense.
Character who maneuvers a lot, and it's going to be a little annoying for Miles to catch him. The same thing can be said for the exact opposite scenario. Yeah. So speed is going to go to Miles, although just barely. And now we can move on to the last category, which is hacks. Hacks, I fear, is also pretty close, as they both have a unique arsenal respectively. Miles is usually just jotted up to being a Spider-Man with electric pew-pews and camouflage, but he has a much bigger arsenal.
Okay, let me know.
He eventually was able to control his Venom Blast so much so that he can construct weapons like swords with them, along with shooting out large AoE blasts. He could even shoot blasts and chain it to other targets at his own will. Now granted, these large AoE blasts and even constructs used to overload his body, but thankfully he's able to now use most of his full power in his new suit, which also has vibranium in its material. He's also given vibranium webbing as well, which is going to be pretty annoying for Deku to get around, especially if Miles is able to also conduct his electricity with the webs, which he has done before. Yeah. And with his electric powers, he can apparently just like dab you up and give you a heart attack. Pretty random, but yeah, Miles is a lot more than just Spider-Boy with electric pew-pews. And Deku, like Miles, has some pretty versatile abilities as well. Obviously, with One For All, he has enhanced strength and speed, but while learning to control this power, he can pretty much predict and analyze an opponent's moves pretty quickly while fighting them. And thanks to One For All being a quirk that you can pass on, he also can channel the other abilities of the other One For All users. He has access to powers like Black Whip, Flight, an ability that's called Danger Sense that allows him to sense hostility and bloodlust, which kind of works like Spider Sense, but it's just not as good. Like weaker, and his punches can affect someone's very soul, as he has multiple souls within himself.
So he has Duraneg, pretty much. Gear Shift is talked about. He talks about Fajin. Okay.
Helping and guiding him. He also has resisted elemental attacks in the past and even extends his muscles and fight while being injured with his Black Whip.
Bro, Fajin and Gear Shift are way too broken, so
pretty much just wrapping around his tendons, which borderline means Deku can fight like a damn symbiote. And wait a minute. Black Whip can control him like a symbiote. He has Black Whips, which means he has Web Swing. He has Danger Sense, Spider Sense.
You see what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. Deku is a Spider-Man clone! This round's pretty close, but generally I think Deku just has the better arsenal in comparison to 100%. Miles. And now we can finally compare these two in a hypothetical fight scenario. When comparing their full power respectively, Deku has Miles beat by quite literally billions.
And because, even though Miles has speed, it's not by a super significant margin, like 2 to 4 times faster. It's only like, oh yeah, I give him the edge. It's like, you feel me?
Billions of times. This sounds ridiculous, but I mean, we know the difference between a megaton and a gigaton is already 1,000. And we know that 1 teraton is 1,000 gigatons.
Now,
and 1 petaton is 1,000 teratons. Quite literally, one hit from Deku at full power would just atomize Miles right then and there. But of course, I already see people commenting, but he fought Blackheart. If you want to say Miles is planetary because Blackheart off-screen the Avengers, then I mean sure, comic book character with surface level context scaling wins, I guess. But Miles is hitting bro with Duraneg multiple times and still isn't even able to bring him down. So saying Miles is on this level is already a reach on its own, while Deku just straight up alters the weather at his absolute peak of power. And even in his earlier forms, he's cleared and defeated obstacles that surpass the foes Miles has been overwhelmed by. I do think with his webs and precog, Miles may incapacitate Deku before Deku could use his full power, but I don't see this happening before Deku closes the distance, analyzes Miles' fight patterns, and just whack him away with a St. Louis smash or something. Now, I know said Miles is faster with Spider Sense, but like I said, Deku can definitely analyze and precog his movements, meaning he can more than likely predict where Miles is going to try and dodge. And realistically, Miles isn't all that much faster than Deku and hits significantly less harder than him, meaning it's only a matter of time before Deku is able to read his movements and hit him with a devastating blow. Again, if you want to say Miles is planetary and immeasurable because he scales to Peter and characters who can move beyond time and destroy worlds, then yeah, sure, obvious comic nerd, he beats Deku. However, we do not do that here on this channel and actually look at stuff with context. And before anyone even tries to comment, oh my god, Miles scales to the spot who's a threat to the multiverse and he beat the Spider Society, so that means he scales above all the comic Spider-Man. Firstly, the spot might be multiversal at his full potential, but Miles doesn't scale to that version of the spot. Yeah. Secondly, that entire spider chase scene, he was getting his ass beat and did 0 damage to Miguel in his big hero moment. He doesn't scale to the comic versions and is a significantly weaker version of the character, arguably even the weakest version of the character to date. So whatever version of Miles you want to use, I honestly don't think he stands any chance against Deku, but they're going to need to work together if they want to destroy their strongest.
Bro, fight the power. Who knows ball? Multi-continental meet Bully Man.
Enemy yet. That being the MHA fandom, because you already know after this death battle, they're going to start shipping Deku and Miles. Okay, goodbye.
We're not shipping nothing. Hold on. Yeah. How'd I just hop on a beat? Yeah. Deku beat Miles by a mile. Hold on. I had to catch that flow. I cannot let this go. Finna just let that fire raw. But you know a young nigga be cold. Like Shoto. You already know though, Make a nigga lost, no Frodo. Alice in a Wonderland. I'm about to shoot your mans. Gun him down 7 times, nigga. I'ma have to catch a rhyme, nigga. You ain't my slime. My fault. No! Uzui.
Miles Morales.
Appreciate everybody for watching that video. I had to do a little freestyle type shit. You know what I'm saying? That last one, bro, it got me. I'm finna work on these freestyles. I'm trying to go curseless as well. You feel me? But yeah, man. You know it's time to find me next. And peace.